What's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. This time we're going to look and see how Red Frieza BR is going to impact the Dragon Ball Super card game. So real quick before we get into this video, if you guys are new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you stay up to date with all the awesome Dragon Ball Super content I post here. If you guys are looking for a Dragon Ball Super community, get in touch with, talk about your decks, things like that, check out the Discord server down in the description below. Awesome community there. And finally, guys, if you're a longtime fan of the channel or want to get up on some competitive content, definitely consider checking out my Patreon, which is also in the description below. Lots of competitive content there. Lots of people telling me that they find it really helpful. So check that out. Real quick plug. Spoiler alert, this archetype is good. It seems very good. There's a lot of hype surrounding it coming out of set 6. It's kind of like the first real control deck, the first real your opponent can't play deck in the Dragon Ball Super card game. And not to say it's degenerate or unbeatable or anything like that, but it's a new type of playstyle we haven't really seen. So I'm going to go over the cards, explain what they do, and talk about kind of some of the best implications for those cards. So we'll go with the leader real quick. Red Frieza BR. You can't include battle cards with energy cost 3 or less in your deck. And I really like these permanents that kind of restrict these types of leaders. Like, I know there's the same type of thing on the Boo leader and other things like that. So you can't actually play real super combos in this deck. As far as we know right now, there are no real super combos you can currently play. I don't think there's anything like a dash pack coming out that we don't know about yet. So no real super combos in this deck, so people tend to play Unbreakable because it is red energy and it is a 1 energy 10k combo. Typically in this deck, you don't really play with your energy until you get to like turn 3 to tap out for a live to fight another day, things like that. So Unbreakables are good for those early game defense pushes. And activate main once per turn. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Add any red extra card to your hand. And there's so many good targets for this, right? There's a lot of good targets that come out in this very set, but you also have like After Image Technique and Cabba's Awakening, which Cabba's Awakening is almost like a 10k combo on defense, and After Image Technique, in my opinion, is like almost the best negate in the game. So really solid. When your life's a 4 or less, you may draw 2 cards and awaken. So this might be like the first leader to bring draw 2 leaders back into the scene. So Golden Frieza, the Majestic Emperor. Activate main once per turn, draw a card. Pretty interesting how you don't have to attack to draw a card. You don't have to give your opponent any cards you don't want to give them just to draw with this leader. And when this card is attacked by a battle card, interestingly enough, this cannot negate leader attacks. You can discard a Red Frieza army card from your hand and place it in the drop area and negate that attack. And you can only use this skill once per turn because it gets negated after that. So again, the leader really facilitates what the deck wants to do. It's pretty good at controlling the game like that because you can, kind of just not eat attacks in that sense. So we'll scroll down a little bit. We'll come over to the Red Frieza army stuff, past the Gogeta stuff. So Golden Frieza, Indomitable Emperor. This is the boss monster of the deck. It's an 8-drop crit. It's got EX Evolve. You got to discard 3 cards from your hand and evolve this over a Red Frieza BR with energy cost of 7, which we'll see in a minute. If your leader card is a Red Frieza army, you and your opponent cannot play battle cards with 30,000 power or less unless you choose 4 cards from your life and place them in the drop area as they play the battle card. That effect is honestly ripped. There's no point in this game where if you drop this card you should lose. I mean, I can't even think of like a crazy kind of card that answers this, and I don't even know if there's a card in combos that answers it. Your leader kind of has to inherently answer it. Otherwise you're gonna have a really bad time. So there are definitely a lot of leaders that answer this, like Cell leader, like the Gogeta BR leader. Different leaders like that answer this card, which is good. I'm glad it doesn't have barrier, especially because if it did, it'd be even more annoying. But this is a card that kind of says come down when the game your opponent can't play. So very interesting. One thing to note though, to play around this, you can attack with your leader because your Frieza opponent can't negate with their leader effect when your leader swings. So there's some play around to it, but again, it's gonna be really annoying if you can't play battle cards. So just something to note there. Then we have the SPR version. Looks super nice. Now here's the one you evolve it on top of. Frieza the Finisher. It is a 7-drop double strike. If they're permanent, if there are 5 or more red extra cards in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. If there are 10 or more red extra cards in your drop area, reduce energy cost by an additional 1. So basically, you have to have 10 extra cards in your drop area to bring this down to a 5-drop. And from what I've seen the deck, be played and playtesting against the deck, typically you're not gonna get 10 very easily. It can be a little bit tough. So More often than not, this is going to be a 6 drop, so it's kind of like turn 6, drop this, drop your boss monster, kind of win the game. Another, just worth mentioning that another good boss monster in this deck is the red Frieza SCR from Clash of Fates. That card's incredibly good in this deck, so just something worth mentioning. And when you play this card, if your leader card is a red Frieza army, choose all battle cards with 25,000 or less power, ignoring barrier, and KO them. So it is a board wipe when it comes down. So again, just that controlling aspect, you clear the board of any threats, and then you just drop your win condition for game. And also notable, none of these things have deflect, so that is you know, Cobolus and counterplays are an option for that. Berry Blue, the Negotiator. When you play this card, if your leader card is a red Frieza army, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 25k or less, ignoring barrier, and gain control of it. So it's basically a 5-cost body change Ginyu. And it's really interesting how this is like a 5k, take anything, ignoring barrier, 25k or less. There's not that many things that are going to, you know, be over these requirements. But it is a 5-drop. It's very, very costly. So I can see this being in the side deck, if anything. I don't really necessarily think this is going to be a main deck staple for this deck. So pretty interesting card, but again, not like a main deck staple in my opinion. Quick Shift, Berry Blue. Combo this card. If your leader is red, choose 2 cards from your hand and shuffle them to the deck. If you do, draw 2. So this is a really, these quick shifts are really interesting, as actually my friend Alex pointed out to me the other day, that it's kind of like Obuni in the sense that it's a draw combo, but you technically just neg one, because when you draw the cards, you got to replace the same number of cards back into the deck. However, these draw 2, replace 2 kind of have a better purpose than Obuni, because you can get rid of 2 dead cards in your hand and potentially see 2 new cards that might actually help you combo out of something or win the game. So that is kind of a valid point, and kind of makes these things interesting, but I'm not, just because they are that neg 1, I'm not sure if anyone's going to want to play these cards over things like Unbreakable or Infernal Villainy Cell. Just a little side note. Loyal Kikono, this card's absolutely nuts. When you play or combo with this card, if your leader card is a red Frieza army, choose 1 red extra card in your drop area, add it to your hand. So a big play that I see with this a lot of the time, when the Frieza deck is trying to defend, you know, the opponent will attack, combo up to whatever. So you combo Kikono from your hand, you activate its ability, you grab Kaba's Awakening from the drop area, and 9 times out of 10, that Kaba's Awakening is going to act as another 10k combo, because it's not a 5k combo, so you don't match with your opponent at that 5k mark, but because it's a 6k combo, it gets over that hump, so it's just as good essentially as a 10k combo, which is really, really good. So Kikono for 1 energy 10k combo is actually a 1 energy 20k combo in most instances. Super high value, super duper high value. These duplicates are super duper frustrating. Kikono, the Fledgling. When you play or combo this card, if your leader card is a red Frieza army, choose 1 card from your hand, place in the drop area. If you do, choose one of your opponent's battle cards. It gets minus 5k for duration of the turn. Definitely not a main deck staple. I can't really think of any situation this would be particularly good in. I mean, there's not really anything that's like 5k in attacking for you to decrease. But yeah, I don't think this card's even that good in general. I don't even think it had to make it. I don't think they had to make this card discard a card. It can be helpful for getting your extra cards to grave if you need that, but I don't really think that card's that great. Live to Fight Another Day. This is one of the best cards in the deck. Definite 4 of. 3-drop extra card. Activate main. If your leader card is a red Frieza army card and your opponent has 3 or more energy, draw 1 card, and for the duration of the turn, your opponent can't play battle cards with 20k or less, or unless they drop 3 cards from their hand in the drop area. So one thing I will say is, like, some of these cards just don't need to draw cards. I'll just say that, like, definitely some of these cards don't need to draw cards because they already have super powerful effects like this one. This shuts off so many things like Idle Cost Vegeta, Shenron 4, a whole bunch of things are just shut off by this card. Most things in the game except for the big boss monsters. It's also worth noting that your opponent has to have 3 energy, so this card is not live on turn 3 unless you go second. So it is worth noting, but most of the time this is probably going to be your turn 4 play if you go first, and you will have that additional energy to defend. Kind of interesting there. New Model Scouter, 1-drop extra card. Look at the top 7 and choose up to 2 Frieza army cards with energy cost 4 or more among them. Add them to your hand. Shuffle the deck. Worth noting, this can search a Frieza SCR from Clash of Fates, and it's an easy 1-drop to just use and then get your your red extra card count up in the drop area. So really good card. Just straight up +1, which is really solid. Transcendent Strike. This is not a Frieza archetype card specifically, but this card is definitely going to be played in that deck because it is an extra card, 1 energy, 20k or less spot removal. So again, you're upping your extra count in the drop area, and you're dealing with threats that are going to put pressure on you and annoy you throughout the game. Really, really solid. Is that all you got? Again, not a archetype specific card, but this is a card that's going to definitely be played in the deck, or at least in the side deck. I think After Image is still a little bit better right now, but this is definitely a side deck staple, in my opinion, especially if you want to come across something like Broly Storm, because for, you know, 2 cards out of your hand, essentially, for this card and discarding another card, you're going to be able to pop 2 dependable Gokus, which is incredibly high value, and you're also negating an attack. So if your opponent swings incorrectly, if your opponent swings with their Broly leader, let's say, or assigns his Fu or something, whatever it might be, maybe a Mira, you negate the attack, you discard a card, and if they have 2 dependables on the board, you pop both of them. So that's 2 for 3. You're wasting 2 cards, but you're stopping an attack and also popping 2 cards, which is incredibly powerful. So another definite staple, if not main deck, definitely in the side deck. So overall, I think this archetype is very strong. A lot of the stall cards are very, very good, especially in tandem with some of the stall cards we already have. So for red negates, we have Vados Assistance, which it's definitely not going to be played in this deck, but After Image is super duper high value. You're probably also not going to be playing Overwhelms in this deck, so for that reason, you're probably going to have After Image live pretty much whenever you want it to be live in terms of sparking. And you can't play super combos in the deck, but definitely people are 100% going to play Unbreakable, maybe even the Infernal Villainy Cell, depending how 10k clunky it can get. As far as Frieza army cards in the deck, I mean, I know this is a definite 4 of. This is a definite 4 of. This Blueberry or Berry Blue, I don't think is a 4 of. This Kikono is a 4 of, so that's what, 12 cards. Your Frieza SCR. I think that'd be pretty much all the Frieza army cards. So as far as your leader negate goes, you have options for sure, but you know, that can maybe be a little bit too small. If I'm missing any other Frieza army cards, let me know, guys, in the comments down below what you guys think this deck will play in terms of Frieza army cards or cards in general. I mean, right now all I've been seeing are mono red builds. It seems to be the best way, most consistent way to build this deck. But I mean, to me, it kind of screams red blue. Although Senzu being in the drop area is not going to really help your red count. So I still do think that mono red's the best way to build this deck, and I think that's kind of how Bandai intended it. They didn't want it to be too powerful with other things. But let me know what you guys are tinkering with down in the comments below with this red Frieza BR deck. I think it's pretty powerful. I think it's gonna be pretty good coming out of set 6. So yeah, that remains to be seen, but I do think we'll have a hard time against the OTK decks in the format, more specifically against Shenron Gogeta, because Shenron Gogeta kind of auto beats anything that doesn't have a good win condition by turn 4. However, Live to Fight Another Day might prove to be a good boon in that matchup, because you know, you can't cast your Shenron 4-drops, you can't cast your Auto-Cost Vegetas, and you can't cast your you know, your Borgos just to draw extra cards. So that might be enough of a hindrance to really you know, slow down that deck. But we'll see what happens with all that. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about this archetype. I think it's gonna be very powerful. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Joey. This is Crossroad TCG, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey, welcome to the end card, and thank you so much for sitting through that, because honestly, I'm just doing this until I make a Digimon trading card game. So if you like Dragon Ball Super for some reason, give it a sub up above, maybe check out some of our other content, and do not forget, Digimon is way better than Pokemon. With that being said, we will see you next time.